Lamb Wellington. Beautiful dish, many components within this dish, quite a few stages. Make sure that you need to get yourself set up, give your lamb plenty of time to set up in the fridge before you roast it, and of course let it rest at the end of the roasting process. So let me talk you through the ingredients, what we have. We have our rough puff pastry, which is in the fridge chilling down. We're also going to make a lovely chicken mousseline to encase the lamb. So we have some chicken breasts, some fresh garden herbs, some double cream and some egg white. That'll be our first job. We're also going to be using some spinach. Now this is just normal large leaf spinach, and what I've done with that, I've blanched that in boiling salted water for about 10 seconds. I've removed the spinach from the water and I've refreshed it in ice cold water. Once I've done that, I've squeezed out the spinach and I've laid it flat, which I'll come on to in a little bit. We have the beautiful lamb. So we have a lovely loin of lamb here, a middle, and we're going to remove the excess skin in a little bit. We're also going to seal it off in the pan, create as much flavour in that lamb, get a lovely crust. And then we're going to assemble all the ingredients together. So to start off with, we're going to make the chicken mousseline. So into my food processor, I've just got some diced chicken, and what I'm going to do is to add a small pinch of salt, put my lid on and blend it down, break down those fibres. And this is going to act as moisture and protection to the actual lamb itself. Our next ingredient to this will be our egg whites, followed by our cream. Now it's really important that your eggs and your cream are chilled, as is your chicken breast. If they're not, what can often happen is that it will split. So make sure everything is at the same temperature again, but this time being cold. So when we add our egg whites, the egg whites are going to bind this mousseline together, hold together this lovely creamy mixture. So I'm going to pour in my egg. Make sure it's fully incorporated. And then, if you need be, you can always scrape down the sides of your mousseline, and just to make sure everything is fully incorporated. Next, we're going to pour in our double cream, and we're going to pour it in nice and slowly. Once your cream is in, I would then definitely advise you to mix that together and make sure there is nothing that hasn't been emulsified in at all. So what you're looking for is a smooth texture. And now we're going to add some seasoning, some salt and some pepper. Now if you wish to, and check the seasoning in a different manner, rather than obviously tasting this as it is, you can always make little burgers, chicken burgers, and gently pan fry them off. Have a little taste to your requirements. Salt and pepper. I'm going to add my garden herbs and give it one final mix. And there we have our chicken mousseline. So we have our lovely middle of lamb here. What we're looking to do is remove the skin and any sinew underneath. Whereas normally we would say keep as much fat on the actual cut. Because we are cooking it as a Wellington and we have the lovely moisture of the chicken around the outside and the spinach, where there's no need for the actual fat today. So simply, what I'm going to do is remove this fat. So the lamb itself is taken from the middle of the actual cut of sheep. So it's the back, just down by the ribs. And what you'll find is that there's two nice loins either side. And this is one of them, but half of one of them. They can be quite big depending on the size of your lamb. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm just going to turn my lamb over and very carefully with a sharp knife, just peel away a little excess around the side. And then turn it the other way and then carefully glide my knife as close as I can to the skin underneath without trying to cut into the actual meat itself. So if you can see here, what I've done there, I've glided it along, I've taken the silver skin off, and you should end up with a nice piece as such. This is my preferred method. Personally, I do small cuts at a time, but long, and then you can almost peel it back. And if you miss any, you can always go back at the very end. I just find by doing it this method, you'll end up with a nice smoother cut of lamb. So once you've taken some off, you can remove a little bit excess and just move that to one side so you can get a bit more of a clear line as to where you need to cut. You may want to turn it back the other way and create an incision just to start the process off again. And then just gently peel away that silver skin, nice long cuts. Try not to remove too much of the actual lamb itself. Cut down, and then just finally the excess. So then what we have is a beautiful, what we call a cannon of lamb. So a cannon of lamb literally is a loin. Some people may call it a saddle, but this is beautiful, and this is what we're going to use in our Wellington. So the next stage will be then take your pan, and what you're looking to do is warm that pan, and you're just going to make sure that you seal the lamb. You're not going to cook it. You want the pan to be relatively hot, and you want it to seal a crust on the lamb to add some flavour. So the important thing being is that we cook the lamb to get the colour to extract the flavour. So the pan is warming through. I'm going to season my lamb with salt and pepper. Be very generous. And we're going to put a touch of oil into the pan and get that nice and hot. So almost like a flash fry is what we're looking to achieve. I have some clean kitchen roll here. I'm going to drain the lamb off, and that is the key to this dish, is that you have to drain off your layers as you lay them up, and I'll talk you through that in a little while. So make sure that pan's hot because you want instant colour. What you don't want to do is to wait, because the longer you have your lamb in the pan, the more it's going to cook. Now we're going to try and cook this lamb about 50 to 54 degrees once it's encased in the pastry. Let it rest and hopefully be nice and pink through the eye of the actual dish. So now my pan is nice and smoking. Add my lamb to that pan. Don't shake the pan around, don't move it, don't take it off the hob. Leave it as such. You're looking for a very quick colour. One side, second side. You can see that lovely brown seal. That's all flavour. And again, with so many dishes, it's a case of making sure you're set up before you assemble the whole dish together. Turn the lamb over. And the other side. And that's probably taken about a minute, no longer than a minute. Take it off, place it on a clean kitchen roll, remove your pan, wipe down. We'll then pull out the components and put the dish together. Important, before we go to the next stage, that lamb is chilled and it's cold. We spoke about the spinach and blanching the spinach. Once you've blanched it, you're going to squeeze it dry. And as you can see, what I've then done, I've taken a piece of cling film and I've lightly oiled the cling film and I've laid my spinach nice and flat, covering up any holes. So this is going to add colour to the lamb dish. It's also going to help seal in the juices from the lamb. So really important that you make sure it's dry. Make sure you have it on some cling film. And we're going to lightly season the next stage. So pepper and salt. And then we're going to go back to our chicken mousseline and we're going to place that on top. The important thing with your chicken mousseline now is to make sure that it's evenly spread. Make sure it goes to all of the corners. Make sure that you have enough, and if it's a little too much to the size of the lamb, make sure you take a little bit off. So with a step palette knife, I'm just going to push gently from the centre out. What I don't want to do is to ruffle up the spinach if I can help it. So we're looking to work, in my mind, to a rectangle shape. When making a lamb Wellington, it's not crucial that it looks perfect to start off with. And when I bake it, and you'll see when I wrap it in pastry, I will leave the ends open. The reason why we do this is to make sure that there's enough flow of air through each end of the actual pastry. So the important part, of course, is the cooking of the lamb and how evenly cooked the lamb is. Okay. So nearly there. Just make sure it's as even as possible. To the corners. So that's our spinach, our chicken mousseline. We're now going to take our lamb. Service side up, so the one that you put in the pan first. And basically what you're looking to do is to create a nice overlap of the spinach and the chicken mousseline. Now at this stage, as I said before, you may just want to remove a little bit of chicken mousseline or just tidy a little bit up on the side. Not too worried about either sides. And then I'm just going to gently roll that over and let that fall the other side as well. Just releasing the spinach. And at this stage, We're then going to pop that into the fridge just to set up for about 5 to 10 minutes. Whilst it's setting up, we're going to look at our rough puff pastry. And again, similar to the shape of the lamb, we're going to roll it, and then we're going to put the lamb in the middle and roll it again, making sure that we egg wash fully, and then we're going to bake it at a very high oven temperature. So we've rolled our rough puff pastry out to a rectangle shape, similar to what we did with the spinach. I've removed the cling film, and carefully I'm going to serve the best side facing down onto my pastry, and I'm going to lift my pastry up, and I'm going to leave a gap about the size of my small finger just in the side so it's not too tight. I'm going to take a little bit of egg wash and just brush the other side, and carefully I'm going to roll this over and just let it drop. Now you can see it's not tight, and you can also see what I'm going to do now. I'm going to remove the excess pastry that I don't need and just rock that back and forward. Next stage is to take your tray, and I've turned it upside down, and the reason why I've done that is because I want this pastry to cook as quick as possible and have as much air as possible running through either sides. Now you can see both sides here are open. I'm absolutely fine with that. It's going to cook more evenly than rather if it was tucked down and you're creating steam. Carefully place your lamb onto your tray, turn it around, pinch the inside edges, brush and remove any excess flour, and then what we're going to do is to take some egg wash. Now in this egg wash I have 1 egg and 1 yolk, a pinch of sugar and a pinch of salt. And the purpose of this is to improve the colouring of the lamb Wellington. And it's really important that we get a lovely colour on this lamb Wellington. The oven needs to be of a good temperature, 200 degrees, and you need to make sure it's preheated. This is 1 coat. I'm going to come back to this and give it another 2 to 3 coats. I'm going to finish it with some chopped rosemary or some thyme on top, lightly score it perhaps, maybe some seeds. And then we're going to bake it for about 20 minutes and let it rest. So at the stage now where we're going to cook our lamb. And as you can see, I've egg washed it 2 or 3 times. The more you egg wash it, the better glaze you'll get. So one more before I pop it in the oven. Once you've egg washed it, then I'm going to take a small amount of chopped rosemary and put a little bit of rosemary on top. Season the crust with salt and pepper. And then you're going to put it in your preheated oven for about 20 to 23 minutes. We're going to probe it with a thermometer. We're looking for about 50 degrees. It's going to take good 15 minutes to start off with, so try to keep your oven door shut. Have a look after 15 minutes. You may need to turn your tray around. You're looking for colour, so do not be scared of the colour. You're looking for that lovely crispness of the pastry and the lovely soft pink filling of the lamb. We'll have a look in 20 minutes.